Ah, gas stations. The little rest stop in the middle of nowhere. The place we go to recharge our batteries and maybe grab a snack. But what if the place itself never even existed 1 hour ago? Or everyone in the station was dead 30 years back? Is it still the peaceful little rest stop you think it is? Grab a blanket, turn off your lights, and let's take a little break at the gas station with 3 true stories that happened at this exact location. Creepy little gas station. Last Wednesday, the hubby and I just had to get out of the house for a little while. We went into town, had dinner, picked up a few things at the store, and decided to head home. We needed to top off the car before leaving town, but we forgot. I suggested that we stop at the last gas station in town before hitting the highway. The last gas station on the way out of town is a creepy little Exxon. It's just off somehow. It's well tended, well lit, and clean. It just never seemed quite right for some reason. So, Brad pulls up the pump, and I ran inside to use the restroom. Just as I finished drying my hands, someone rattled the doorknob and knocked softly. I opened the door, but no one was there. I figured the lady must have darted into the men's room next door in desperation. Who hasn't done that a time or two? I shrugged it off and went back to the car. As we were pulling out of the parking lot, Brad says, "Something weird happened with this car while you were in the bathroom. A guy at the pump behind us watched it happen too." I asked what had happened, and he told me that while he was pumping gas, the passenger door opened up all the way. Then the car lurched a bit, as though someone had sat down. Brad was leaning against the car and assumed that I had gotten into the car without him seeing me, until he leaned down and looked inside. The door was open, but the car was empty. The man at the pump behind our car was staring at the car door. Then him and Brad stared at each other for a second. Then they both went back to staring at the door. Brad went over and shut the door. The man finished fueling up his vehicle and left in a hurry. It was just after he drove off that I got back to the car. I would have loved to see the door opening and the car lurching. Sort of makes me wonder about that knock on the bathroom door. We saw a face in the window. This is my first actual perfectly visual experience, as well as my first post here. My experience led me to Google, which got me here, so I decided I will sign up and share. I'm 26, and the date it happened was March 28th, 2010, and it was dark. Around 9 p.m. Me and my girlfriend made dinner and had no drinks, so we decided to go get water from a water filling machine around the corner. I realized I was low on gas and went across the street for gas at the Chevron gas station in Vesta, California. I parked ready for gas and went in to get 2 Arizona green teas and pay for gas. As soon as I paid, I then started walking out. As I was walking out, about 4 feet in front of me was the pushing door. Right before I went to push open the door on the right side, on the clear window, I saw a face. It looked almost exactly like my girlfriend, but mean and angry. But I thought it was a woman on the outside of the window looking in and didn't think a thing. When I walked out, I looked to the right, and no one was there. So I went and pumped the gas and got in the truck. Then my girlfriend said to me, "Did you see the face in the window?" I swear I got chills. Then, to make sure she wasn't messing with me, I asked her where it was and what it looked like. She said, "It was right above the Coke boxes and that are stacked, and it was a woman with black hair and just staring." And that's exactly what I saw. But in my mind was thinking it looked like my girlfriend, which to me, it did, but meaner looking. She then told me that she saw it staring at her, and then she smiled at it, and it looked down cause it scared her, and when she looked up again, it was gone. And that's when I came out the door. The weird thing also is that when I saw it, it looked like it was staring at me instead. So that's the story. Does anyone have any thoughts or any similar experiences? My parents' story. Back before I was born, when my parents were still just dating, my dad used to ride a motorcycle. My mom would always ride behind him, clutched onto his torso. They were young people in their late 20s back then, and had been known to be reckless at times. One day, they were filling up at a gas station, the same one they always went to, since it was close to home. It wasn't one of those self-service ones, so an employee was filling up the tank for them. However, this is an employee they've never seen before, so they figured he was the new guy or something, since they always recognized the people that worked there due to how often they frequented it. So the guy fills them up, and my parents are about to be on their way when the employee stops them for a moment and looks at the both of them and says very sweetly and kindly, "Listen, you two, be very careful out there. Understand?" My parents didn't really think anything of it and told the guy that they would, and the guy smiled at them and walked away. My dad turned the bike around to exit the parking lot, and my mom pointed out that the guy had completely vanished. He had only been out of their sight for a few seconds, and my parents swear up and down that there is nowhere he could have gone in that moment of time, during which he could have disappeared completely from their sight. Several minutes later, my parents were at a four-way intersection with a red light. Their light turned green, and they ventured out into an intersection. But some drunk idiot completely blew the red light, and if it wasn't for some quick thinking on my dad's end, my folks probably would have been killed. My dad swerved out of the way at the last second and drove up onto the nearby sidewalk, where they fell off the bike. The motorcycle was pretty damaged, and my parents got pretty scuffed up and had to go to the hospital. But luckily their injuries amounted to nothing more than a bit of whiplash and some bruised ribs. My mom is pretty religious, and my dad is more spiritual than anything. But the two of them maintain that they think the gas station guy was an angel trying to warn them. They filled up at that station plenty of times afterwards and never saw the guy again.